Welcome back to Five Friday Feedback. Thank you so much for joining us. Dominic, how was your week thus far?
It was great. I made a bunch of cheesecakes, and I must admit, I gotta start doing 2-a-days at the gym. It's dangerous. Making too many cheesecakes. But the week was good. Some wins, some losses. But that's how the story goes. That's how the cookie crumbles. That's how the cake crumbles, I guess. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a great week as well, Chris. Getting through the week?
I'm making it. I'm surviving. So that's all I can ask for. We made it to the end. I get this weekend to recuperate. But today, what I wanted to talk about was the 7 money lessons that people often learn way too late in life, and have a discussion on that. Like I said, I read a book on that. There was the 7 lessons people learn too late in life. And when I was reading it, I was like, you know what? This all relates back to finance. So just grab that idea, throw it through the blender, and throw it back out for the podcast.
I love it. I mean, that's what Friday's all about, right? Recapping Monday, kind of getting a fresh take on a crazy idea, a new idea, and just, like you said, taking it, friggin' running with it as fast as you can. Don't let the viewers catch you. I hear their 40 time is quick, so we got to be quick. So let's go. There's 7 of them. If you didn't go back and listen to Monday's podcast, I recommend it. We always recommend you going back and listen to Monday's podcast because, helps the algorithm, helps the views. Our ego goes crazy. We're crazy like that. No, but if we're being honest, that was all sarcasm, I know. But if we're being honest, a lot of great information in Monday's episode. We really went deep, and it was a heavy podcast and a lot of great information. We're going to talk a little bit about it right here, right now. So starting off strong with number 1 of the 7 money lessons people learn too late. Hopefully you guys don't have to learn it too late. But if you do, I don't know what to say. Anyway, number 1, everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. Now, a lot of these ones on the list are kind of very, I don't want to say like, they're big. Well, you know what I'm kind of saying, Chris? They're big, they're deep, they're philosophical. It's a very almost a Buddhist-centered podcast today. And I know you're a big fan of studying all that stuff. So what do you mean everything is temporary? I thought I was living forever, man. Like, ironically, podcasts could live forever. Maybe.
Forever is forever is impossible still. Things end because things begin. Look, we all know this. So your financial situation can change. That's really what I wanted to get from this. And yes, the nature of reality, the everything is temporary, is very much a Buddhist concept. Like, that comes straight from the Buddha himself. But what I really wanted to get on this one is that no matter what you find yourself in, no matter what situation you find yourself in financially, whether that be the best situation or the worst situation, this too shall pass. This is temporary. Ideally, if we're in the best situation, let's try to make the most that we possibly can out of it. I cannot tell you, Dominic, the amount of people I have worked with who, and we've heard it on Five Friday Feedback too, people are like, I'm making this great income. Everything was going well. I had all this money. I was on top of the world. And then something happened. I think we actually have a Five Friday Feedback this week. You were telling me a little bit about it. That's that exact same thing. Mm-hmm. Things can always change. And that could be for the better or for the worse. So we need to plan for that. And wherever we are in life, if we're in the worst, it can get worse. If you're at the highest, it can get worse or better. So you always need to try to plan for the best, plan for those inevitabilities. Try your best to make sure that you set yourself up. And if you're in the worst situation and you need to change, you need to be the one to make that conscious change. Everything can change. Everything will change. And you need to be the catalyst of it because you want to change for the positive. Because no matter how bad your situation is, there's nothing in life that you can't make worse.
It's interesting. I love hearing the differences in how we think, right? You're a little bit more cynical. I'm a little bit more optimistic. And it's just it's a great clash. I love it. And when you were talking about things are bad right now, it's well, guess what? They can get worse. I'm not even doing a joke. I never even considered it. I literally never even considered it. Because from what you've taught me and what I've learned over my lifespan is okay, yeah, this too shall pass. The sun keeps rising, baby. So we're going to keep on powering through. We're going to keep hammering through. And don't get me twisted. Just because I'm optimistic doesn't mean I don't have dark moments. Doesn't mean I don't get sad or bummed or mad or anything like that. I'm still a normal human, just like you guys. So yeah, when people say optimistic, it's dude, it's not all cracked. It's not all it's cracked up to be, right? There's still, pros and cons with everything. But no, I agree. I think by having the framework that and the understanding that everything is temporary, it gives you a deeper meaning to appreciate what you have now, you know? And I think because things can go away, and I look back on moments in my life that I absolutely cherish, and I'm grateful that they happened. But if it was like that all the time, I probably wouldn't appreciate it. You know, how motivated would I be if I never died? I don't know. I don't know. How much food would I eat if all my life, all my food was free? Oh, well, let me tell you, my 600-pound life type style. But I think because things are temporary, it's a blessing and a curse. Blessing and a curse.
And the crazy thing about it, like if you want to take it to an even wider perspective, deeper level, the blessing or the curse is all based off the story you're telling yourself. Like it's not truth in that it is a blessing or a curse. It all depends on the outcome that you're setting from it. That is a story made up in your head. Because it could be the best thing and it is the worst thing simultaneously. And we don't know what it is until the story that you decide to assign to that meeting at the end of it, which is getting kind of out there. And I understand that. So again, Five Friday feedback. We talk about philosophy, talk about finance, talk about everything. It just is. So thank you for joining us.
I had a moment actually this week where I had a bit of a mindset shift. And I love seeing those live and in person, this lifetime only. I love seeing it, right? So I got called into work. I was like, call from my boss. I was like, hey, we need you to work at this location. It's not my location, right? So it's a different spot that I'm not used to, with people I'm not used to, with customers I'm not used to. And they're like, we need you to be here right at open, 6 a.m., right? And it's a 20-minute drive, and I like to wake up at least an hour before, an hour and 15 before I'm supposed to be somewhere, right? So I'm like doing the math in my head. I'm like, I wake up at 6. No, I go at 6, 5, and then 4. I'm like, man, I have to wake up at 4:45. What is this cheese? I'm like, this sucks. This is terrible. And then I was just but it was the story I was telling myself. And it's crazy how much life can change based on the story you tell yourself. In the beginning, I told myself, man, this sucks. You know what? I should. This is the sign that I should start looking for a new job. I don't like this. I don't like being called out of bed this early. A couple days later, thought about it, meditated on it. Really, let's change it. Happiness is a choice, right? Use everything to your advantage type situation. I'm like, you know what? No. This forces me to get up early. I've been wanting to get up earlier more often. The hours are great because I get off work earlier. So that means it leaves time for editing the podcast, recording the podcast, working on my own content, expanding my brand, working on myself, going to the gym. And rather than looking at it as a negative that I have to wake up at 4:45, and this is why I'm a little bit tired this week. I haven't been getting enough sleep. I flip the script. And I ask you, and I implore you guys, what's not serving you in your life mentally? What are these thoughts that you're having that just aren't serving you? I mean, what power does a negative thought have? What power does a positive thought have? How can it serve you? And I just want you to question everything. Question your thoughts. Question your thoughts deeply and see what's serving you. Man, life is immensely beautiful when you can change the thoughts that come in and the thoughts you choose to think about. So I know I kind of went off a little bit on a bit of a tangent, but that's what Five Friday is all about. So it's Tangent City over here. But yes, everything is temporary, but it doesn't mean that's a bad thing. Cherish it. Good and the bad.
Cherish it. So, number 2, life isn't always fair. The system, the universe, the cosmos, whatever you want to call it, is not built for you specifically. It is the way it is. There are systems, there are things in play. Every action has a reaction to the dawn of time. We are here because of every moment that has happened indefinitely to infinity to make us to this one moment right now, right here, right now. And that's pretty incredible. So that's to say is the system isn't built for you. You need to learn how to play the system the right way. That doesn't mean that you don't go and try to change the system. That doesn't mean you don't try to make things better. But rather than sitting there complaining, oh, the tax code isn't for me. If I was a business owner, if I was an investor, then it's always built for those types of people. No one's stopping you. You don't live in a country where no matter to the skin color you were born, the gender, the class, the caste, maybe you live in one of those countries. And if that's the case, then try to change it. Try the best that you can. But no, if you're listening to one of these podcasts, if we're in your ears right now, most likely you are not in that situation.
Yeah.
If you are listening to this podcast, you are in top 1% of civilization, in all of human history. So take that and work within the system you have to make it better. And in order to do that, you have to be able to take it upon yourself. You need to be that change.
And I think Chris and I are similar in this aspect where we love to gamify things. Things are so much more fun when you gamify them. If you can figure out a way to have fun with your finances, have fun saving, have fun investing, get excited about it, you're going to be so much further ahead. Because most people, they dread finances. They loathe their taxes. Nobody even wants to open up their bank account. I've been there. I totally been there. But if you can find the fun in everything, the joy in everything, the silver lining in everything, again, life is, honestly, most of life's problems and troubles, it operates in your mind. And if you can learn how to control your mind, and I say that lightly, because it's not easy. I know it's not easy. I know it's very difficult, but just because something's difficult doesn't mean it's impossible.
Definitely agreed. But that means that you are the one that has to go ahead and start to take that first step. Yes. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with one footstep. And, just to our listeners who might be listening, and, luckily we kind of cultivated people that are more moving forward centric. Like they want to make that that positive mindset, that forward momentum. But there are people, who listen to that I'm sure are like, well, my job isn't going anywhere. There's inflation, wage stagnation. I don't like the political people in power. There's global warming. There's all of these things going wrong. So why should I even try? If one extreme is extreme ownership, where everything in your world is your responsibility, and the other one is complete nihilism of I can't control it, so why even try? There's pathology on both sides. If you're the person that says like extreme ownership, I'm personally responsible for climate change. I'm personally responsible for the way the governments are regarding. I'm personally responsible for inflation, for all these things. You're probably never going to get out of bed because you're going to just feel terrible. And also, if you're on the other side of nihilism of why even try? I can't control it. Why even try? You're never going to get out of bed and do anything. Are either one of those thoughts serving you? And you get to pick and choose. At what point do I want to take ownership? At what point do I just want to say, there's nothing I can do about this situation, so I'm going to focus on what I can control? That's what Stoicism teaches us. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, all of these great philosophers have taught us that at the end of the day, we can't control what happens to us, but we can control the way that we respond. Between stimulus and response, there is a gap. In that gap, you have the ability to respond in a way that serves you. That's from Viktor Frankl, a man that survived the Holocaust. He went through 5 different internment camps, and his why was to get back to his wife and kids. Unfortunately, they all passed away before he had the chance to see them again. And even in that, through the suffering, he kept on going, kept on going. So why can't you?
Yeah.
Everything was stacked against him and he did it. Mm-hmm. Why can't you?
Yeah. And it really shows to the courage of the man. I don't know which path I would take if I was in his situation, surviving all that Nazi camps, the horrible treatment, everything. And your whole reason is your why is to see your family, just to find out that your family doesn't exist anymore. And he decided to live again. He decided not to let that pain sit inside, fester, and roll around upstairs. He made something of himself. He pushed on. And it's so commendable. Because I don't know, I don't see myself pushing on after that. Or me personally.
There's a book, I recently read another book of his. He read A Man's Search for Meaning. That's like his main book. Yeah. But then there's another book that was based off of his teachings. He did a set of like 3 teachings afterwards, and it's called Yes to Life. And what he talks about a lot in the book is, or in these teachings that he did, and again, the teachings were just conformed into a book, mm-hmm. is that a lot of people that went through the Holocaust, they never were free. even after being released, they were never free again because they were trapped in their own mind, trapped in what happened to them. They couldn't move on. So in his book, Yes to Life, he talks a lot about that of they had you physically in bondage where you couldn't change, but then eventually you were freed, but people still went back into that cage. They put themselves back into that anger, into that hate, into that everything, not letting go, not moving forward. And, for Viktor Frankl, I could definitely see that. I could see myself going through that. You go through all this stuff to see your wife, your kids, all this stuff, and to realize that it's all gone, and you never get out of that. And you stay back in that prison of your mind. Even though your body's free, you're still in that prison. But he's decided to say yes to life, yes to trying to the best of his ability, maybe not forget, maybe not move on and leave it all in the past, but to, I guess, I don't even know a better way to put it, because some words are like undescribable, but to move forward, not moving on, but moved forward. All of that, all of his past is still with him, and he chooses to move forward in spite of those things, with those things.
And that was Yes to Life by Viktor Frankl, correct?
Yes.
Put it in my notes for a book to read. That's an interesting one, though. That's an interesting, just because you move on, I don't know what the right, again, like what you're saying is like, it's tough to describe. Like, you can still move forward and not move on, or you can still move forward and not forget.
I guess to hold both things true simultaneously, right? And that's the hard part, is like your entire past, your personality, everything is built up of every single thing you've been through, right? Mm-hmm. Every cause, every condition, everything that's ever come. And how do we move forward? If you look back on your past, you only see all the traumas, all the things that have happened to you. It's hard to move forward. Yet we continue, all of us continue to move on despite all the things and because of all the things that have happened to us in our lives.
It reminds me of the 9/11 tribute. Never forget. Never forget. It's like, we moved on. We built another tower. We healed, but we never forget. That's kind of what it reminds me of. And it kind of goes back to point number one, everything is temporary, in a sense. But so we did everything is temporary. Life isn't always fair. Number 3, I think, is probably the most important one on the list. Do you want to say that one?
Yeah, sure. Family is greater than everything else. So you want to make sure that as you're building your financial plan, as you're trying to be good with money, that you're doing it in support of your values. And maybe family for you, maybe if you look at your family, you're like, oh no, that's my family. Like, where I come from is not what it's about. But that doesn't mean that it's not the family that you choose, the family that you get to create. It can be friends. It doesn't need to be by blood. But the people you surround yourself with, the people that you really care about, the people that you can call at midnight with a problem, or, hey, I just need someone to talk to. Those are the type of people. That's what really matters, in my estimation.
Yeah. It's interesting. You make all these sacrifices and financial decisions and just decisions in general. And you ask yourself, it's like, well, why do I do it? Because I know, for at least Chris and I, it's like, dude, we could literally live in a van. Just drive
it's kind of like, that's the dream, man.
Yeah. It's like, dude, that's option one. Like, it's funny. Like, it's nice having a significant other. It's nice being in love. It's nice having someone, a family, and everything, dogs and animals and whatever. It's nice, but at the same time, it's like, sometimes you're just a guy who wants to get away from it all. Just want to pick it up, take a little drive, and maybe come back in like 2-3 weeks, maybe like a month or so. And you come back refreshed, because family really is everything. It really is everything. And sometimes I get sad when people glorify money too much. Money isn't going to fix your relationship with your father. Money isn't going to fix XYZ. Money only fixes money problems. And I just hope that, everybody listening to this, that you keep your family close. You keep them close, and you tell them you love them. And you appreciate them. Even if they're not the best. Even if your dad's a dick. It's like, hey, I still appreciate you. In your own weird way.
Because you wouldn't be here without them, even if you don't like them. And at the end of the day, when someone's gone, is when you realize that all the money in the world doesn't matter, because all the money in the world will not bring them back. And how often in life when someone passes, do we realize, like, man, I would give anything for 5 more minutes. Honestly. And right now you have an infinite number of 5 more minutes that you're just wasting, because you're taking this thing that is temporary and you're assuming that it's going to be forever. And if we learn something from rule number 1, everything is temporary. So Number four, in order, in the advent of time, kindness goes a long way. And for that, from a financial standpoint, your network is your net worth. I really want to relate this back to family. Like these two ones just really go hand in hand in that we're doing things for others. And that could be your family, your blood relation, or just be your family. We're all family here, man. Like whatever you want to call that, like part of your circle, your tribe, the people that are the most important to you would be those people that we do that. And let's try to extend those circles out and out more and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's kind of the goal of Stoicism is first we focus on the nuclear family, and then we build that out to the community, then to the city, then to the state, then to the country, then to all the world. That's our goal, is to spread that kindness bigger and bigger and bigger. And we don't know where that kindness that we give it to somebody who maybe not mean nothing to us, just someone we're passing on the street. Just give them a wave, give them a smile. It costs you nothing. And you don't know where that little drop in a pond, where those ripples can reach out to. Because hopefully they pass it forward and they pass it forward, and we can make change that way rather than everyone what they're doing now, trying to tear people down, because you don't know where that's going to go either. Someone could be on their last leg, man, like everything's going for me, and you just happen to be the person that cuts them off and flicks them off. Or someone's walking and they give you a smile, and there's like, man, I just need someone to give me something. And they give you a smile and a hi, and you just put your headphones in and turn away. Like that could be the limit, that they're like, it's done. I don't want to keep going anymore. It costs you nothing to be kind, and it can give somebody everything they need.
Agree. 100%. Number 5, a lifetime isn't as long as you think. This one for me is true and false at the same time. And I don't know if you'll agree with this one, Chris, but life can be super long and it can be really short. It's just, I don't know. I can't really describe it, but it's a long game, but it goes quick. And I hope you guys are planting the seeds you need to plant financially, spiritually, with your friends, with your family. What do you have to say for this one in regards to like finance, and maybe even philosophically as well?
Yeah. Well, philosophically, I'll go first.
Okay.
I think it depends on what perspective you want to take, right? And what you want to compare it to. In the terms of like the sound of a snap, yeah, life is really long. But in terms of like the existence of the cosmos, the existence of the sun, of like a turtle, like life isn't that long. There's always different scales. So it depends on what you want to compare it to. It also depends on the perspective that you want to look at it. If you want to zoom out really, really wide perspective, a human lifespan is nothing. If you want to zoom in really, really close to you right now, like us having this conversation, yeah, in the terms of this conversation, we have a long lifespan because this podcast is only an hour. An hour makes up infinitesimal amounts of someone's entire life. So it depends on where you want to zoom that in. Same if you grab a mouse and you zoom in or you zoom out. Same if you're looking at your investment charts. If you zoom in, you see all the volatility, all the craziness. You zoom out, it starts to look like a nice clean line. It's all based off of your perspective. When it comes to finances, though, and if life isn't as long as you think, that means you need to start your journey today. Start to get better with money today. Stop putting things off until quote unquote the right time or the perfect time, when everything lines up, when the stars are all aligned and the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars. Then I'm going to go ahead and start to figure out finances. That's never going to freaking happen.
Yeah. Tell him, Chris. He's passionate about it. You love to see a guy passionate about it. It's never going to freaking happen, guys. You're not going to get the perfect situation. The perfect storm never happened, right? You have to take action today. There is no tomorrow. There's only now, right? Take action today. I don't care if it's a small, tiny little baby step or if it's a giant leap. Gotta take action. Because just like an avalanche, the first one rolls and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you got a whole damn avalanche. Ain't no snow on the mountain anymore. So take the chance, take the roll, take the spin, go for it, take action. Like, honestly, if you're not going to take action on what we're talking about or just in general, right? I would much prefer if you just clicked off of the video or the pod, right? Because while I do think we are somewhat entertaining, I want you to take action. Because what do we always say? And I'm going to probably butcher it because I always butcher it. But education without action is just entertainment. Got it first try. Never doubt yourself. That being said, we're going to go on to number 6. The biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. It'd be like me working my whole life and putting all my money under my bed while inflation eats it up. And I don't risk any of it. but I also don't grow any of it, and it shrinks. My buying power becomes infinitesimally smaller. Hopefully I used that one right. Still working on the pronunciation of that one. That being said, gotta take risk, boys. Took a risk saying it. I'm not afraid. Not afraid anymore. What do you have to say about this one, Chris? This one's, I know, a little bit controversial. This one kind of makes you a little bit mad. You were telling me earlier.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, risk is required to grow in life. It just
Yes.
is. Like in all of life, you need to take a little bit of risk. We're, I think, biologically designed to take risk. Like in order for us to seek food, to go out and do anything, you have to take risk. But it's also a risk just to stay in your house and to not take risk. You know, what's like, okay, I need you to be healthy. Let's just lay in bed. Don't leave bed. Just stay in bed all the time. You know, just do all that. Well, now you're taking your risk and you're going to push that out later on. Now, later on, you're going to be, you know, fat, unhappy, all these things. And that's going to take your risk to another level. So there's always risk, always risk. I was saying on Monday's pod that I'm upset that we live in a country, and all of us, doesn't matter what country you're in, your country does it too, that effectively makes everyone have to be a gambler in order to keep up their purchasing power. And the stock market, I know people don't like to equate it to gambling. It is gambling. You are gambling that the future will be better than today. Now, yes, that is a gamble I am willing to take, because I think that 10 years from now is going to be worse than today. Then why invest? Like, I should be building a bunker. I should be getting guns and cans of ammo and MREs and all that stuff. Like, if that's the case, then no one's having kids, no one's having anything, because they think it's going to get worse. Everyone believes through all of history that they're living in the end times, that this is it. After this, it's done. Yet the march of reality, the march of human beings, the march of civilization, everything keeps on moving on. Even if we all blew ourselves up today, let's say North Korea, Putin, whoever, they send a nuke, we send a nuke, all of it's done. The sun will continue revolving around the earth. The cosmos will still continue. Don't think yourself, and we as a civilization do this too much, that we are the center of the universe, that this is some heliocentric cosmos only built for us. We don't know that to be true at all. But we perceive it because we can only perceive things through our own eyes, through our own ears, through our own taste. So we believe that we're the center of the universe because in your mind, you are. And we as a collective believe that we all are, because we can only interact with other people that see it the same way. That in reality and everything, I'm the center of the universe because I can only perceive it through my own brain.
Number 7, you are responsible for your own happiness. This one's kind of controversial, I would say, in today's society, where, you know, you're supposed to make me happy. You're supposed to make me happy. You flip on the channel. You're supposed to make me happy. You go on TikTok. You're supposed to make me happy. And what I've come to realize is that happiness is a choice. And sometimes it's a hard choice to make. Trying to find that joy, trying to find that happiness. Sometimes it's damn things hiding somewhere in the day. And it could be just like number 4. It could be just like number 4, where someone waves at you, says, "Hey, I like that shirt. You look good today. Looking jacked." Best thing you can say to a gym rat is, "You're looking jacked." But you have to choose to be happy. It's not a destination. What do you think about that, Chris?
I 1000% agree. And that's someone who struggles with it every day, that you get to choose to be happy, because I constantly will put a destination out, a goal. You were asking me last Monday's pod, like, should the goal be short? Should it be a long-term goal? Like, when do you actually reach the goal? When can I win? When can I say I'm done and not have to try ever again?
Yeah.
And I told you that that's impossible. Yet I constantly set little goals. Like, man, once I get this, I'll be happy. And we can think about this. Listener, you can think about it yourself. You know, you were once in elementary school. You said, hey, once I passed 5th grade, it's all going to be downhill from there. You passed 5th grade. You got to 6th grade. Man, once I got out of middle school, once I get past 8th grade, I'm a freshman in high school, it's all going to be uphill. You got there. You're like, damn it. Okay, maybe it's senior year. Do that again. Maybe college. Maybe when I get this job. Maybe when I get the next job, the next promotion, when I hit this salary, when my boss finally tells they're proud of me, when my mom and dad say that they love me, whatever it is, you got to that destination. Maybe it felt good for a minute, 10 minutes, 10 days. Eventually you habituated back to it. Hopefully. It took me too long to come to this realization, so hopefully you can learn it from me sooner. You're never going to reach that place. Wherever you go, there you are. If you're unhappy here with your spouse or whatever, what makes you think that going to the Bahamas is going to make it better?
Yeah. honestly.
There's so many people when I talk about all the travel that I do, and they're like, "Oh man, me and my spouse we're in bad situation right now. Maybe I should go on one of those trips like you and your wife go on all the time." And I always say, your marital issues that are here will also be in Hawaii because you guys are
Yeah.
both going to go there. It's not going to magically change things.
Yeah.
You need to work on that here and work on that there.
And this is just like a personal anecdote. You don't have to please everybody to be happy. Sometimes you have to put your own happiness first, above the happiness of others. And I know that contradicts a little bit with number 4, but your happiness is predicated on the decisions you make. And if you're only making decisions that make other people happy, what room is there to make yourself happy? So rather than trying to seek the approval of others, seek the approval of yourself. Because you're going to spend the most time with is you. You're going to have the most arguments. It's going to be with you. The meanest person you'll ever meet. I sure hope. Well, I don't hope, but it's probably you. So make sure you get a good control on that happiness meter and be proud of yourself.
I would say that in life, the most important thing you can ask, or the most important thing, is how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself. If you don't like that person, when you're alone in a room by yourself and you can't stand it, if the noise of if the silence is too loud for you, you would do anything to get out of it. And unfortunately, the things that people do to get out of it, whether that be drugs, gambling, trying to find more money, more aspirations, more whatever, they've created a new God to serve in order to stop that pain. But wherever you go, that pain will always be with you. So
100%.
you need to work on that. Work on yourself. Know yourself. Be comfortable being alone with yourself. And I'm telling you, as someone who does it, it's really hard. We all seek life. We all go through life hoping to be bored one day. And the moment we attain it, we revolt against it.
We don't
because
like it.
we actually don't want it.
No, I've been through North Dakota. I know what boredom is. Terrible. Sucks. Not fun. Not fun. There was another point I was going to add, but it slipped me. Disappeared. North Dakota got in the brain and it dissipated. But I think that would probably be our recap portion of Friday's episode of the 5 Friday. We're going to be moving on to our next segment we call Viewer Mailbag. Unless you have any final... You're good?
Nope, I'm good.
Let's do it. So, like I said, this is the part of the podcast where we have a member of the community write into us and we kind of see how we can help them out, see what advice we can give, maybe some life anecdotes from our own world. And yeah, let's get right into it. So today's letter is in a tight spot after divorce and I don't know how to get out of it. How about that? Understandable. Howdy, Fi guys. I never thought I'd be in this position. At 44, I've always been responsible. The person who knew how to budget, who maintained a near perfect credit score, once hitting an 810. Nice. For reference, the top score is 850. And the bottom score, we don't talk about it.
It's a 350 though. And good luck getting there.
Oh, you got to try to get there. Yeah. Speed. Yeah, I'm sure you could speed run it, but don't recommend it. Someone who navigated the complex world of buying a home and selling across multiple states like a seasoned pro, financially, I've always been in control. Interesting. Well, what we know from, our first point, everything is temporary, unfortunately. Even the marriage. But now I feel like I'm drowning. Gotcha. I totally understand. The reason, divorce. Not just any divorce, but an escape from a physically violent, soon-to-be ex. That's very unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear about that. And as much as I know this was the right decision, it has left my finances in complete and utter chaos. Here's where I stand. I have $55,000 of unsecured debt, mostly medical bills and legal fees from fighting to get out of the situation. Wow. Minimum debt payments of over $1,000 per month is bleeding me dry. Also, I have a solid income of $1,000 a year in tech, but it doesn't seem like it's enough anymore. Gotcha. Okay. We'll break that down. We'll definitely break that down. I've got $4,500 in alimony and child support. Unfortunately, it's non-negotiable. Of course, this is a huge part of the paycheck. $2,200 in rent for a place I don't even like, And I dislike where I'm living, and the thought of owning again feels like a distant dream. Understandable. Car paid off. Nice. At least that's one thing I have that I don't have to worry about. And finally, student loans. Less than $200 a month, manageable, but still another bill on the plate. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm suffocating. Like I'm financially shackled to a past I'm desperately trying to move on from. I want stability again. I want my debt under control. I want a home, not just a roof over my head, but something that's mine, something that feels safe. But with the way things are going, I don't know what my first move should be. I'm not asking for miracles. I'm just asking for a roadmap. How do I get out of this mess? What would you do in my shoes? Any advice is welcome. From weathered the storm, now comes the climb. I hope that financial freedom just takes time. How about that? Well, what a doozy. What a doozy. But that's the life. That's life. You know, that's life. Life gets crazy sometimes. Life gets chaotic. And
Dom, do you know from our viewer, is this a male or a female? Because
I believe this is a male. Yes.
okay,
I believe this is a male. So, male perspective. Um, Unfortunately, in an abusive relationship, uncommon, but that stuff happens. And when it does happen, it's tough on men. It's really tough on men, right? There's a lot of negative backlash from everybody, right, on the situation. So, I mean, I feel for the guy. I mean, this is tough. This is tough. Um, yeah, it's definitely tough, especially a divorce, 44 kids in the picture, alimony's hot. You know, the whole picture is rough. But there's some silver linings, definitely. Cars paid off, $180,000 a year in tech, which I'm trying to like kind of discern where he lives. Does he live in Silicon Valley? If so, $2,200 in rent is crazy cheap. I would assume you would know a little bit more than me in that market.
Yep.
That would be crazy, right? So I'm just kind of seeing the landscape, but I'm curious to see what would be like the next step. Obviously, we can't eat the whole 50-ounce steak in one bite, right? So you got to take it bite by bite. Are we talking maybe first steps, maybe first few months? What's the plan there, Chris?
Yeah. Before we get to that,
Yeah.
I first just want to tell our listener that I understand I don't understand what you're going through. I don't know actually, but I'm here for you, man. And that's got to suck because that's the reason I asked it. Because do you know if this is a male or a female? Because when someone says I'm in an abusive relationship, my brain automatically when you read that was like, oh, it's a female.
Yeah.
And I'm sure as a male, when he tells people hey, I had to leave my wife because of abusive relationship, most people are going to be like, what do you mean, man? You're the guy. You should have just put it in control. And that's not the way the world works. So, man, that's got to be really tough what you're going through. And I couldn't imagine leaving your spouse because of physical violence and I'm sure other issues. And you still have to pay alimony. You still have to pay for all this stuff. So first, I just want to tell you, this is a terrible situation. I'm so sorry that you find yourself in it. I'm sure that you're a good dad. You're doing the best that you can. And know that it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And I know you can make it through it if you choose to. Like Dominic said, you have some great things going for you. There's a lot of stuff, but that doesn't mean that it can't all be taken down. I would be curious for the alimony and child support. Does that mean that does that mean that you don't have the child or the children at all?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you just paying all of that just cause? And I understand you said it's non-negotiable. I'm just kind of curious as to what that means, how'd that happen? Especially if she is physically or was physically violent, or maybe it was another man. I don't know. I'm just kind of maybe it wasn't that. I have no idea. But if someone was physically violent, I would be quite concerned to have my kids with them if I'm not there.
100%.
So something to think about. I don't know the situation. Obviously, I don't know anything about what's going on. And right now, but family means everything. So please try to protect your kids. I know that if you're a good father, you are. But that's just something that's kind of going through my brain. It's what's going on with the kids? What's happening there? All the finance stuff is really important. Don't get me wrong, it's important. But family the kids. Human life is so much more important than just these dollars and cents. Dollars and cents mean nothing if something bad was to happen to your kids. But with that being said, if I'm looking at this, the biggest fear to me is the unsecured debt and the alimony. And unfortunately, you said there's nothing we can do about the alimony, $4,500 a month. That's going to eat up a huge amount of your income. That's going to basically take a full paycheck away from you. And it's going to leave you the other paycheck to kind of run with. Depending on your tax rates and stuff, you're soon going to be married, filing singly, maybe even head of household if you still have your kids in your life. I hope you do. But it's going to be expensive. So try to negotiate with your wife, see what you can do, try to figure out payment plans when it comes to that. There's really nothing we can do there. We're going to have to, unfortunately, learn to live on substantially less. So if I was you, make sure you're a superstar at work. And I know you're going through a lot, but try the best that you can, because right now money is becoming more expensive in the world. There's a lot of tariffs going on. There's a lot of things that are happening. And unfortunately, people are losing their jobs. I don't know what you're in tech, but AI is unfortunately coming for most jobs. So please try to make yourself indispensable. Learn everything that you possibly can. Figure it all out. If AI is coming for you, start to learn AI. Become the person that you know is indispensable to the company, because right now, that's the lifeblood of what you have. It sucks that at one point you had it all and then now it's all kind of gone. But unfortunately, that's just how life works sometimes. So when you were there, I hope you appreciated it. And now that you're where you are right now, kind of on the lower end of where you want to be, know that it can go up or down. It's not going to stay stagnant forever. You're not going to be in the situation forever. So that means that it can get substantially better or it can get substantially worse. You're the one that chooses how that happens, depending on how you decide to play the next part of this. First thing I would do is take a pause. I don't know how recent this divorce is. You said soon to be ex, so I'm guessing that you recently moved out, kind of going through it. I understand you don't like the house. You don't like where you're at. And maybe your spouse kept the house. All that sucks. And unfortunately, it is what it is. So the first thing I want to do is just take a pause, take a breath, feel your feelings. Because I'm sure right now you're just kind of tell me what you do about the money. I don't want to feel my feelings. And you're just trying to move and feeling that if I get to the next goal, it'll all be okay. Sometimes it's okay to take some time to cry, just to put on 15 minutes, set a timer, feel your feelings, and then prioritize and start executing. When it comes to the prioritization and executing, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pause all non-essential spending. You said in the past you were like Mr. Budget. You knew what you were doing. So we need to start to create that crisis fund. I don't know. You didn't put anything in here about what kind of money we have. All you put was your salary. I don't know if you have, investment accounts, bank accounts, emergency savings, any of that. I hope we do, but I'm going to assume we don't. Since we have the $55,000 of uncollateralized loans, that's going to assume to me that we don't. If not, you probably would have paid for it while you were doing all that and not, probably not be writing in. So if I was you, I'm cutting out all non-essentials, all of them. You know that you have to pay the alimony. You have to pay rent. Lucky you don't have a car payment. You have to put food on the table. And the food that you're putting on the table, it does not need to be Ruth's Chris. We need to start tearing it down. When it comes to medical bills, when it comes to legal fees, those are not as negotiable. When it comes to medical bills, which you said majority of your bills are, those are always negotiable. We've done an entire podcast on the do's and don'ts of medical debt. I can't remember what number that was. I think it was like 60 something, but you can go back and you can find that. The biggest thing I would say for that is don't put it on your credit card. That's just a mistake that so many people make in order to get that off of their plate, but then they end up creating a whole new issue. You can always negotiate medical debt. Just try to do it while it's still being controlled by the hospital. While the hospital or by the medical provider is trying to get the money, you can always try to negotiate with them. And they are far more likely to set up zero interest payment plans, even cut the bill in half. I've seen people who have negotiated with their hospital and got the bill cut down by more than half just through negotiation. The words you want to use is financial hardship. If I have to pay this $55,000, it will lead me to financial hardship, which for you is true. You're not negotiating. You're not lying. It's just fact. You can also explore those refinancing options. And for you, I would really start to search to try to create like a little bit of an emergency cushion, even if that's just $1,000. $1,000 of just something to feel okay. That's kind of your safety blanket, right? When it comes to the renting versus buying a new house, man, based on what you said here, right now buying a new house, I think would just be a no-go. I don't
Yeah.
know where you live. Maybe you live in, I mean, but you have to be the one that evaluates that. I don't know where you live. I don't know anything about you. But buying a house, if you're going to get into a house right now with the interest rates the way they are, you're probably going to get into an older house. You get into an older house, the chance of something breaking is substantially higher. The nice thing about renting, if something goes wrong in your house, in your rental house, even if you don't like the place, you just make one phone call and it gets fixed. If you own the place, now you're shoveling out another $10,000, another $15,000 after closing costs, after all that. So whenever you buy a house, you have to also allocate another 10 to 20% just to close on that bad boy. Like, and that's a lot of money, and a lot of money that unfortunately right now you just don't have. So long-term strategy, I'm going to try to negotiate that uncollateralized debt, and then I'm going to try to aggressively go after that and get that done. There's nothing we can do about the alimony at this point. I hope there is, but that's just going to be a fight that's going to come over time. So keep doing that. Rebuilding your credit is going to take time. There is no fast way to do that. So avoid late payments. Keep your credit utilization low if you can. Just try to maintain as strong a credit score as you can, because if you want to move into another apartment at some point, another house, another rental, or even buy a house, that credit score is going to mean a lot. Even if you don't love the home you're in, look at this as like a temporary waiting place. It's only a rental. You don't have to love it. Look at it as a reprieve. I don't know where you live. Maybe 2,200 is a lot. Maybe 2,200 is a little. But right now, at least it's putting a roof over your head. So be thankful that at least you have that right now. The biggest things, like from emotional mindset stuff, because I know that this person knows what to do. They've done it before, and they know what they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
They have to limit their income, or try to increase their income as much as they can. They have to limit how much is going out, and they have to throw everything at that debt. They have to throw everything at the child support. They know what they have to do. Now it's just the hard part of doing it. You need to give yourself grace. Divorce is financially and emotionally one of the most draining things that people can go through in their life. But know that just like in everything in life, it is temporary. And you are rebuilding right now. And everything that you're going through will be rebuilt. And one day you will look back on this. I know right now when I say this, you're going to be like, F you. But one day you're going to look back on this and be like, thank goodness I went through that in order to get me to where I am now.
Yeah.
Right now, you can't see it. In 10 years, 20 years, you're going to look back on it and be like, I'm glad I went through that. It was awful, and it got me to here. Number 2, seek professional guidance, whether that's a financial coach or an advisor that can provide a customized plan or help to speed up the recovery. I would just avoid any advisors that's going to be taking commission. So you can ask, are you a fiduciary, are you a broker? And look at their incentives. How are they being paid? Are they being paid hourly, or are they being paid off of commissions for selling you things? A divorce attorney might be a good, or another like attorney might be another good one for the alimony, just to look at. Some people do pro bono work. There's always things out there. You can always even go to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not the final word, but it's a good way to start for free and then to kind of go from there. Claude, Gemini, DeepSeek, whatever one you want. They all work, but that does not stop professional and personalized guidance that you can get from a real professional who works in the industry, because there are no right answers, because no one knows until you go to court. Final thing, you need to focus on your goals. Every smart financial move you make today gets you a step closer to being debt free and a stable future. Stick on the values that you have. I don't know what's going on with the kids. I don't know what's going on with the wife, but I hope that you're trying to have a good relationship with your children and try to do all that. And remember what's really important. All this money stuff, yes, it's important, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing right now is your kids. And if right now they're at a house with a physically violent parent who's at least only physically violent to you, hopefully not the children, we don't know if that can transfer. We don't know if you were just the punching bag, and now that you're out of the picture, they don't become that. So be there for your kids. Check in with them as much as you possibly can. And even, I know it sounds hard, but even be there for your spouse. Love on your spouse, because if they had maybe the love that they needed, they wouldn't be the way that they are. And I know that's hard to hear right now, but just try to take that wider perspective. Remember that we're all on this same rock hurtling through empty space.
Yeah.
But bro, you got this. I wish I could give you like, just do these 3 things and you're going to get done. It's going to take time. It could take 10 years. It could take 20 years. And if you keep on working at it, you will get out of it.
Yeah.
You will. You might not get to the destination that you want, but you'll get to a better destination than you are at right now.
Yeah. Another anecdote I kind of wanted to add from a story I heard from an investor that I followed, Bill Ackman. This was, I don't remember which crash this was, but there was a point in his life where he had lost $4 billion. He was being sued by his investors, and his wife was divorcing him. And he was left with almost nothing. Like actually nothing. Not like a billionaire's version of nothing. Like, no, I mean like actually like left with nothing. I think he had to borrow money from his parents. And they asked him how he got through that. It's a lot to go through a lawsuit, your company's failing and your wife is leaving you. And he said, you know, I just try to improve a little bit every day. Improve a little bit on the divorce, get a little bit closer, improve a little bit on the company, improve a little bit on the lawsuits, just get a little bit closer every day. And after 30 days, 60 days, you know, you look up, you're like, oh, the storm is calmed down a little bit, right? So make sure you're just doing your best to try and improve just a little bit every day. Also, secondary antidote, if you're not a part of a gym, this is a very emotional time in your life, I'm sure. And I highly recommend, if you're not already going, start going to the gym consistently. As a guy, we need that outlet to really let it all out, express ourselves. And it's helped me immensely. It's helped Chris immensely. And I don't know where we'd be without it, but you're at a point in your life where it's like, okay, time for a strategic rebrand is what I would call it. It's a new chapter. It's a new day. It's a new dawn. So take advantage of it, improve every day, and listen to what Chris is saying, because got some good knowledge there. But I hope that we hear from you again, and I know you'll get out of this one.
Yeah.
You're very capable. You're very good. We'll see you on the next. One if you decide to write back in. But we're going to be moving on to our win of the week then. Any final thoughts on that, girl? That though, Chris?
No, man. I just want to tell like how many times in life I've been in like the worst place. Like I don't know like how I'm going to get out of it. And just going to jiu-jitsu, going to the gym, like especially jiu-jitsu, like going in there, walking into that gym and just training for an hour, and you walk out just with like the noise volume turned down just for a little bit. Eventually it comes back up. But yeah, I think that was a very good thing to say. Like get out there, get after it. If you can't afford the gym right now, hit the pavement, start running, start doing something. But the gym is nice because it's kind of like you're paying for it, so you better use it. Same with jiu-jitsu, you're paying for it, so it's a better chance that you're actually going to use it rather than just sitting on the couch and feeling bad, because you can only do that for so long. It destroys you.
I agree. Well, best of luck to you, my friend. We hope to hear from you very soon. With that being said, we're going to be moving on to win of the week. For this week's win of the week, I'll be going first. Obviously, first win of the week, podcasting with Chris. It's always a fun time. Second win of the week is I got these like mini little cheesecake pans, and I'm starting to make little mini cheesecakes. They're pretty cool. And I finally, I gotta be honest, I'll buy like the Duncan Hines cherry pie filling, a strawberry pie filling, and it's just so expensive. It's so expensive. It's like $5-6 for like a can of it, and it's not the biggest. It's a good size can, but it's not that big. I was like, you know what? I bet I can make this at home. And I literally just made it at home with the ingredients I had like at home. So I was like, well, that's fun. So I saved a bunch on that one, and I learned a new skill, and the cheesecakes are going well. And I tried this new thing that I've been getting tons of ads for. It's called Magic Mind. And I think I said this earlier in the pod, or maybe last week. It's been a tough week, but been slacking a little bit on the sleep and productivity a little bit. And I tried this Magic Mind stuff, and it was enjoyable. I feel sharper, not like wired for sound, but I feel like alert. And I haven't eaten anything today either, so and it's later in the day, so yeah, that's my win of the week. Sorry, I was rambling a little bit, but Chris, all you. What's your win of the week?
For sure. So mine is both my wife and I, we got our alignments done on our vehicles recently. And when we purchased like this lifetime alignment thing a long time ago, like back in 2021, and the people at the the mechanic, like it's a national chain. I'm not going to say which one it is, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's a national chain. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to put it in the system so that every time you come in, we'll just run the VIN number and it'll say inside that you have the lifetime alignment thing. So
Yeah.
we both go inside there. We're like, hey, we have the lifetime alignment thing. They're like, oh no, that we don't do that. That was only for a year. And I was like, no, I'm pretty positive it was like a lifetime thing. Like I wouldn't have bought alignment for a year because I'm not like crashing into curbs every 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Like I know we bought it because we paid like, we paid some money for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, no, yeah, we definitely don't have that. I've never heard of it. So luckily, due to our file safing, or how well we keep our files, especially for our vehicles and our taxes and everything, my wife and I were able to go through our own individual vehicles, go down to that receipt, find that receipt. We both were able to go inside them and be like, hey, here it is. Like this says that we have that. And then lo and behold, the guy's like, oh yeah, here they are. They're like, right, they're here in the system, blah, blah, blah.
Gosh.
So yeah, we were so dumb, but we were both able to get our vehicles aligned this past week, which is good. Got some tire rotations, paid a little bit of money for that, but saved ourselves a couple $100 between the two vehicles, which was great. So just file your stuff away. If you don't want to file it physical like I do, just take photos of it and like put it in a phone or like in a file in your phone, like vehicle paperwork, vehicle service records, something like that, because when you run up against someone who's just like, I can't help you, I don't know what to do, sometimes just having something to show them will force them to be like, oh, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, but it ended up working out.
I'm glad that worked out for you. I know sometimes those mechanics can be a little bit dodgy. Even when you have like a good mechanic, like an honest guy, it's like, I don't know. But yeah, I never heard of it. Pretty sure the lifetime thing is just for a year.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Is that a play on the podcast we're doing about things are temporary? Like, what is going on here? Anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. If you're still listening, God bless you. We appreciate you. Make sure you like, subscribe if you're still here so we can continue making these and reach as many people as we possibly can. And if you don't mind, in your heart of hearts, could you share the podcast with a friend or an enemy? In fact, it doesn't even have to be a friend. Share it with some, go in your phone, start typing in random numbers, blasting the podcast, just start sending it out. Honestly, make a new friend. Stranger danger, can't hurt you over text. That being said, use my advice with caution. And I'm Dom. He's Chris. And don't get abducted. Be safe out there. And yeah, that's pretty much our plot. Later, guys. Peace.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.